Hey guys, and welcome back to Win in the Woods. Today we're going to do a little bit of an intro before we get into the hunting footage and talk about what happened over Virginia's muzzleloader season. I ended up tagging a buck, but not in the conventional way. I took this buck, a young 8-point. Some of you guys will actually recognize this deer from one of our previous scouting videos. He was one of two larger bucks in velvet that came out in our field. He came in with a very unique 6-point. This deer was unconventional because he was found on the side of the road on one of our permission properties, immobilized, and we could tell he was sick. We weren't sure what he was suffering from, whether it was injury or illness. So after euthanizing the deer, myself and the gentleman that found it, who also hunts that property, skinned him out. And we found several wounds that looked to have come from fighting with other deer. He had a puncture in his ribs that we can only assume came from another antler, and he had some scarring and punctures on top of his head that actually had become infected and abscessed. The infection essentially ate through the skull plate and made it into the brain pan behind it, and that's actually what ended up immobilizing the deer. When we found him, he couldn't get to his feet, and he didn't look to have been struck by a vehicle. So the infection was induced from fighting with other deer, and even though this isn't the way that you want to see a deer go in the wild, it is the reality of nature. This is one deer that we were wanting to pass this year and see what he turned into next year. But I don't think his story is all that uncommon in the wild. These deer are playing for keeps out there, and these things happen more frequently than I think we know about. So that was my black powder tag. I didn't get to go into rifle season with a buck tag, and the hunt that you guys are about to see is opening day of rifle when I'm out searching for a doe. So I hope you guys enjoy that footage, and thanks for sticking along with the channel. Morning guys, it is November 19th, opening day at rifle season, and I'm headed out to one of our permission properties to go sit a blind on a field edge. Today we have to look for a doe. We did harvest a buck between now and the last video, but it was more of a euthanization than anything. Stick with us, we got to head out. Running a little bit behind this morning. It's real cold, so I've layered up, and we're gonna head out to the blind here in just a minute and see what happens come daylight. It's a half hour after shooting time, and we had that one young buck come through right at shooting light when my alarm was going off. I saw him cross the field going that way, grunted at him a few times, but he kept moving. He looked up and then he looked back here and then he kept moving. About 10 minutes later he comes back into the field and walks right down the edge. Well, I just had my doe at about 30 yards, right to my left. And as I reached up to click the camera on, I think she saw me. I can't be positive because it didn't really look like she knew what was going on, but she trotted up into the trees. So I stuck the rifle out the window, and this curtain back here was covering the scope. So I went to move it, and she saw something she didn't like, and she was only maybe 30 yards away. And so she jumped back here behind me. I jumped out of the blind and took a look back behind me to see if I could see her making her way through the trees, but she had already made it over the hill, down into that creek bottom. So I'm going to let her go. She may come out on one of these ends of the field before too long, or there might be more headed that direction. There have been some shots behind me this morning too, so it's probably pushing some of those deer over here. It's a little after 10 o'clock, and since that doe came through, I haven't seen anything else. I have to keep reminding myself that I have, 8 or 9 days to hunt due to vacation. So, not to put all your eggs in one basket. Play the long game. Take the whole week to really find out what the deer are doing and where I need to be. All right, time to head back there. What you guys just saw me setting up is my new Lone Wolf Custom Gear pocket arm. This thing is sweet, super lightweight, packs in. This is my first time setting it up and it was super easy. You guys literally saw the first time I put it in a tree, and it's a huge improvement over the $100 muddy arms that I was using earlier in the season. I actually won that pocket arm through Star City Whitetails self-filming competition, thanks to Lone Wolf Custom Gear and Star City Whitetails for reaching out and making sure I got a hold of it. That thing is pretty cool. Meh. Got her. I almost brought my bow out here tonight because I knew I'd be sitting in this stand and they sometimes come in behind me. She trotted up across the food plot, stopped right here, and looked around. She looked like she was being chased. I wouldn't be surprised if a buck came down here too. I'm just gonna sit for the rest of the night. Now that I've got that doe tagged, I've got my last earn a buck. I have one more buck tag now for Virginia, and that's gonna be it for my deer season. Meh, meh, meh. Oh, crap. I didn't see that big doe. I turned around and I could hear him coming up the hill. And all I saw was that little button buck, so I was going to pass. I've been asked to take more does off this property. We have quite a few, so if I get a shot at another doe, I'll use my last doe tag on it. These deer are going to be donated to Hunters for the Hungry. It's something I like to do at the end of my season every year, is donate a couple of them. We eat quite a few throughout the year. It's one of our main sources of red meat, but this year I was blessed early in the season with several deer and that big bear, so our freezer's full, and now it's kind of time to try to help other people out a little bit. So I would have shot that big doe, but I didn't see her. I just wasn't turned around far enough to see her when they were stopped and standing there. Still good to see a lot of healthy deer in the area. It's a really good sign. Well, this was a pretty fun hunt. Great to have success on opening day of rifle season. It's hard to really accurately communicate how thankful I am for opportunities like this. I'm super happy that we'll be able to put a doe in for Hunters for the Hungry this year. I love doing that at the end of every year to kind of give back and share some of the blessings that I've been given. This deer is definitely one of those. It's not an impressive doe. This year's doe for sure. But it earns me my last buck tag, and I still have a couple of nice bucks that I've been looking forward to chasing. And on top of that, I was able to use a cool new piece of gear. That Lone Wolf Custom Gear pocket arm is really awesome. I'll do a whole nother video on that and give it a review after season. But for its first trip out, that thing's showing a lot of promise. I really appreciate the guys over at Star City Whitetail. It's cool to have a local page for hunters in the Star City area, which is Roanoke, Virginia, for those who don't know, and to be able to share these hunts and memories with the guys out there as well. So praise the Lord for all of this. As always, guys, I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and God bless.